We are live. What is going on, YouTube world? Happy Wednesday. Special Wednesday edition of Jerno's Friday Night Live. Welcome, guys. We got Beechner, Dan, PQ all in the house already. What is going on, everyone? Thank you for being here. I went live a couple minutes early just because I was sitting here getting ready. I'm excited about today. Lots of awesome stuff, guys. Some stuff came up this morning that I'm like, oh boy, got to talk about this in the show today. So I'm really excited to be going over that stuff. I'm still kind of cold here, guys. So I'm bundled up, but it is A1 Wednesday, guys. Again, if you aren't following A1 Comics on Instagram, Facebook, go check them out, guys. Now, they do have their Instagram live sales today starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, but we do have our special comic book canon show tonight as well as 6 p.m. So you guys aren't going to want to miss that. But as always, A1 Comics live sales, they go until 9 p.m. Pacific. So you guys can come over to the canon, hang out, watch the show, and then head over to A1 to check out their live sale for like 2 more hours afterwards. Tony, what's going on, Tony? Hope you had a good Christmas and holiday, and hope you are doing well. Gus, what's going on? So I hope everyone had a good holiday week, Christmas, whatever you guys celebrate. And here we go. A few days until New Year's, right? So that's why we have the Wednesday show this week again. I made the excuse that my co-host Jeff is going to be too hungover on Friday to do a comic book canon show. But yep, so here we are Wednesday. We got One Shot. Caleb, what's going on, guys? So, okay, as always, I like to start out with some announcements, guys, and then we're going to go into some juicy meat. Books and keys, what's going on? All right, so a few things. Simon, what's going on, Simon? All right, here, One Shot, what's up? Hernani, man, you guys, showing up today, showing up early. I appreciate you all. So, all right, let's talk about a few things, guys, before we get into the thick of it. So, again, happy holidays. I hope everyone was able to, in some way, spend some time with family while staying safe and healthy. And I do want to let everyone know, too, please be safe for New Year's, guys. I'm sure most of us aren't doing even normal routines and maybe going out, having some drinks or whatnot. But even if you are still doing that, please be safe. Get a designated driver, whatever to keep you and others safe, guys. Now, okay, so it's the last week of the month for my patrons. We got patron videos coming out this week. Okay, so I plan on doing my Q&A tomorrow. And then I have another video plan. I know what I'm going to be doing. So hopefully that'll come out by maybe, the beginning of next week, guys. So hold tight for all my patrons. And if you guys aren't a Patreon supporter yet, that link is below for only $3.99, guys. You can help support the channel. We are at what I believe 14 or 15 patrons. So I want to get a couple more, and then we're going to roll out the first patron only contest. So I'm hoping to roll that out in about a month's time, hopefully when we hit February. So I know a lot of you have been waiting patiently for that. Let's talk about releases this week. Videos come in. I got some more spec book videos coming over probably like the next week and a half. I did a couple this last week, or a few actually. So if you guys haven't checked those out yet, check them out. Very Marvel heavy. It's actually been all Marvel. Very Spider-Man heavy. So I have a Marvel 2022 spec video, which is going to focus on, basically that deeper end of Phase 4 MCU and what books we might want to speculate on or try to invest in before we get, more official announcements or some trailers and things like that for movies coming out in 2022, 2023. All right. That's coming. All right. And I have a DC spec video coming out, at least if not in this next week, within the next couple of weeks. Because, guys, as you all know, there's a lot of work that goes into those spec videos. It takes a lot of time. All right. So Dr. Doom and Matt are in the house. What's going on, guys? Let's see. What else we got going on? Lots of spec videos. I did a poll. I got like a lot of responses in the spec vids. Comic books to spec on and invest in, or is it the top? It's winning. Second best is what? Just comic hauls. You guys really love the comic haul, so that's awesome to hear. All right, let's see. JJ, Miguel Pool. JJ says, I just hope they stop announcing it before I get my keys for cheap. Yeah, we got to be ahead of the game, right? All right, sexy lighting. Oh, yeah, you guys like that back there. It's not quite done yet. It's not quite done, but even so, I wanted to roll with it today, guys. So, yeah, thank you. That was a Christmas upgrade. So, yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and, yeah, I'm digging it, but I got some work to do. Hopefully by next week, we'll be in full effect. All right, what else, guys? So, okay, so I want to say, before I get into this big topic, guys, if you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot them in the comments right now. I'll try to get to them before I go into this big topic. One other thing I want to go into the big topic, though, guys, is I've been using my new program, video editing program, and I did a video earlier today, on this issue that I'm going to address. It was almost a 30-minute, it was like a 25-minute long video, guys. And it, like, without going into the details, I have to redo it. I have to redo it, and I'm pissed, man. So I'm learning the ins and out of this video stuff, but I have to get back and do this video again and do a reshoot, because this is a very, very important topic to me, one that I've addressed so much in the past. Thanks, Caleb. I appreciate it. Yeah, one shot says comic hauls are favorite. So let me get some water, guys. Let me get some water. Take a quick breath. See if you guys have any real quick questions, and then we're going to get into this, guys. We are going to get into this. And like I said, I wasn't even planning on talking about this today. pH balanced Trader Joe's water. Anyways, all right, guys. Always plugging my pH water, guys. All right. Okay, again, real quick. We're here live from here. We got to go get ready for a Comic Book Canada show, 6 p.m. Pacific time. It's going to be an awesome show. Actually, let's talk about Comic Book Canada real quick, because we're going to have the best of 2020, guys. We're going to talk about Wonder Woman 84. I watched that on Christmas. Also watched Soul. That was an amazing movie. Pixar always just does wonders. We're going to talk Wonder Woman 84. We're going to talk about Wonder Woman 3. We're going to talk about more announcements regarding the DCEU, and I don't know what's going on with the DCEU, but we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about our favorite TV shows of 2020, favorite films of 2020, favorite comic books of 2020. So we got a lot going on in the canon. And then again, from there, guys, A1 Comics, IG live sale. All right, let's see. Popcorn time. Yes. Matt came home with the ASM 129 today. Round of applause for Matt. Good job. That was my holy grail, one of my biggest pickups of 2020. Congrats. Gus, what are we talking about? What is the meaning of life? Now, that's a question. Watch the movie Soul, and that might answer the question for you. I honestly don't think the whole sequel trilogy should be retconned. Maybe only episode 9 and it's like I think that The Last Jedi needs to be retconned, and if they did that, they would have to retcon episode 9 just because it wouldn't connect. And we all know that JJ's episode 9 wasn't his original episode 9, because he had to go off the fly and say, well, let's look at what Rian Johnson did, and now I got to change things around. On some Star Wars stuff, let's see. Soul was insane. Such a great movie. Yes, absolutely. 4.5. Hey, that's better than mine, Matt. Absolutely. X Factor 6 and a 9.8, JJ. Nice. I might have an X Factor 6 and a 9.8. I was going to send it off to CGC this last year, but I didn't. I might send it off this year. So, guys, okay. All right. Let's talk about this, guys. I added this to the title only an hour ago. Sean Miller, what's going on, man? All right, check this out. You guys probably noticed in the title, I bring up Key Collector. And we're going to talk about Key Collector app today, guys. Now, like I said, I did a video about this earlier today. I'm going to have to reshoot it. I will try to upload that video tomorrow, and I'm going to dive more in depth than what I'm going to be able to cover today. Some of you may know that I've addressed my issues with Key Collector in the past. All right, and let me just, I say this because I want to be transparent with where I stand. I have nothing personal against Key Collector or Nick with Key Collector or anybody affiliated with him. Comic Tom, especially, we know that they have their partnership. Gem Mint is affiliated with Comic Tom. All these people, I'm a fan. You know, I watch Gem Mint, I watch Comic Tom. I have nothing against these guys personally, and I want success for all of them. And I've been the one that's been vocal about standing up against all the conspiracy theories against Key Collector and Comic Con, saying, oh, they just push crap books on the app so they can, like, because they stock up on issues, they hoard all the issues and then sell them at inflated prices. It's a scam. It's a conspiracy. I am first to say, you guys, stop. These are businessmen that are handling business, and they're doing it appropriately. And, you know, you got to give them credit where credit's due. The platforms that they built, Comic Tom with his platform via Instagram, YouTube, and then Key Collector with his app. You know, and look, I don't hate the Key Collector app. I think that the interface is great. I think what it should be and can be is amazing and is needed. And we have Go Collect, we have Cover Price, we have all these other, we have a Comic Book Realm, right? We have all these databases that I use them all. I always say, you guys know me, I always say, don't use just one, use more than one, right? You're gonna sell yourself short if you're just using one resource. But I'm at a point, guys, I'm really at a point where I can't trust Key Collector. I can't. There's too much misinformation on this app, and there's too much what's the word I'm looking for? Guys, bear with me. Inconsistency. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. Too much inconsistencies, guys. So I saw in a group today some screenshots of something that was very alarming to me, because I've talked about inconsistencies that they had in the past. I talked about where they were wrong in the past. And I'm going to bring up on screen another one that I saw today that's just blowing my mind. It's just blowing my mind. And it's really frustrating. It's frustrating to me, guys. So let's pull this up on screen. We are going to share screen. We're going to bring in application window. We're going to bring up Chrome. We're going to share. All right, guys, check this out, okay? We're going to look at these books. And that's this one right here. X-Men Annual number 14, guys. What does it say right here? First full appearance of Gambit. Then we're going to go over here, and what is it? Oh, shoot. No. We're going to go down to 266, guys. Whoa, we don't want that far. We're going to go to 266. And what does it say right here? It says second appearance of Gambit. They're saying that Annual 14 is the first full appearance, and that Uncanny 266 is the first full appearance. I'm going to stand here today, guys, and plant my feet firm in the ground and say that Key Collector is 100% wrong. They are 100% false in their information, and here's why, guys. I've talked about this so much, and honestly, it's exhausting to keep talking about it. But a full appearance does not mean that we see a character for the first time from head to toe. It doesn't mean full body. Oh, we see them in full. That's not what a full appearance means, okay? Full appearance doesn't mean, oh, he or she says their name or somebody else says their name, a name reveal. That does not equate to a full appearance. Full appearance does not mean there's multiple panels and dialogue. That does not equate to a full appearance. Guys, a full appearance means this character is showing up in full to the story of the issue at hand. It is fully engulfed in the story of that issue. That is a full appearance, guys. Just because we know their name, we see their face, we see their bodies, and they're on multiple panels does not equate to a full appearance. This is by decades of industry precedent, guys. Decades. And still working on my documentary, guys. I told you, I've been telling you for months, it's going to take probably years for me to do this. It would help if more people talk to me too, but people refuse to respond to my emails. Here's the thing, guys. Key Collector app is wrong with this specific situation because, for one, I know that Uncanny Annual number 14 is a bit of a different cameo. All right. Gambit isn't just this back page. You know, you see them in a couple panels and boom, they're there on the last page and they reveal themselves. Like Wolverine did in 180, like Venom did in 299, like Taskmaster did in 195, like the Living Tribunal did in Strange Tales 157. Okay, I get it. You go through this jumbo-sized book, you get to the middle of it, and all of a sudden, we see this character on a page. Okay, but here's the thing. And I've said this before. If you do a checklist of what makes a full and what makes a cameo, this is a cameo by definition. Why? Because you see Gambit on one page. He has 5 panels on one page where he talks. Then we do see him in different panels on about 8 other pages, but he never talks again, and he's in the background. In most of those, we only see the back of his head. We only see the back of him, and he's in the background with a bunch of other characters. Sometimes grayed out. You know how they would do that in the old comic books? Like the background would just be like gray or a shade of brown or green or something or yellow. He's shaded out in a couple of them. You could take him out of the story and it doesn't change anything. It doesn't matter that Storm said his name. It doesn't matter that he's on multiple pages, because the multiple pages that he's on, he's merely in the background with a bunch of players. And this is the example that I used. Look at Endgame, right? Look, a full appearance. And we're going to use the Endgame movie as an example. Endgame had a lot of cameos, guys. Now, we know a Stan Lee cameo. Usually a Stan Lee cameo is like a one-liner. You see him for a minute, it's a one-liner, right? I think there's a couple where he didn't even say anything, right? Those are cameo by definition. But you know what else is a cameo? Robert Redford in Endgame. Alexander Pierce. Let's review Alexander Pierce's or Robert Redford's appearance in Endgame. It came halfway through the movie. You see him walking up. He says something. It goes off to other people, which are in a comic book world would be different panels. They're talking. It goes back to him. He talks again. It goes back to somebody else. It goes back to him. He talks again. Tony Stark's on the floor like dying, and he's like, that's still a cameo. But it's a bit bigger and longer than a Stan Lee cameo. It's still a cameo. That's Gambit in Annual 14. Chris Evans in Thor, Dark World. Even though it was technically Loki, he transforms into Cap. But it's Chris Evans showing up. And he's there for what, like 30 seconds? And they're walking, and he's like, hey, what if I talk like this? They show Thor. And then Captain America's still there, and he turns around and he starts walking like this until he finally turns back into Loki. That's a cameo. All right, guys. You can even call, what's her name? Renee Russo's role in Endgame a cameo. Even though that was even longer than Robert Redford's. You could still say it was a cameo. Even though she had dialogue, she was there. It was a moment. It was in a scene. The Ancient One. It was a whole scene back and forth. Multiple panels. If there was a comic book adaptation of Endgame, these scenes would be multiple pages, multiple panels, and most likely multiple pages. But it's still a cameo in the totality of the story. Gambit's appearance in Annual 14 is a cameo. Okay, now let's flip the script here and say, let's just say Key Collector is right. Let's say Key Collector is right in that Annual 14 is Gambit's full appearance. First full appearance, right? If that's the case, I'm going to bring it on screen. We're going to bring this back on screen, guys. I'm going to tell you why he states it's his first full appearance. Listen to this, guys. I'm going to get some water, and then we're going to read this together, guys. All right. This is why Key Collector says that this is Gambit's first full appearance. This issue is often cited as a cameo appearance of Gambit, but there are multiple panels. Okay, this is what he's saying makes it a full. 1, multiple panels of the characters. 2, a full page with Gambit speaking to Storm. And 3, him being addressed by name. He is stating that those 3 elements are why this is a first full appearance. All right, get this, guys. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. We're going to go to Hulk. We're going to bring up Hulk 180. Where are we? We're going to bring up Hulk 180. Right here. Here we go. What's it say here, guys? What's it say here? First cameo appearance of Wolverine, right? We're going to bring up one more book. We're going to bring up one more book, guys. And then I'm going to make my point. Uh-oh. Oh, shoot. I was searching in the wrong search. Hold on, guys. Bear with me here. All right, here we go. We're going to bring up one more book. I'm going to make my point. We're going to bring up 299. All the way down. I can't see your guys' chat right now, so bear with me. And I will get to some Q&A and whatnot as soon as I'm done here. But we're going to look at 299. Look at this. What's it say? Oh, man, it's trying to catch up. Here we go, 299. Now, 298 is considered a first cameo. You know, we know that. And then 299, gosh, darn it. It's playing catch up. Let's see if I can just click on 299. It says here, second cameo. God darn it. I'm sorry, guys. Here we go. All right, here we go. Second cameo appearance of Venom, right? Okay, here's my point. Okay, check this out. Remember what they just stated makes Annual 14 a full appearance of Gambit. Okay? Multiple panels, full page, and being stated by name. What happens at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 299 with Venom? Multiple panels, full page, by name. So this is what I'm trying to say, guys. I believe Key Collector is wrong with their Gambit information, but even if they're right, their data is inconsistent because if they're right, then that means their information on ASM 299 is wrong. Because if you take the 3 things that he's saying makes Gambit's appearance a full, that means that ASM 299 should be considered Venom's first full appearance. Period. So no matter the way you slice the pie up, guys, Key Collector app's information is unreliable, inconsistent, and I cannot trust it. It's that simple. It's that simple. And this is just one incident, guys. This is just one situation. And this is what I said in my video that I'll be posting tomorrow. I want Key Collector to succeed. I think they could be a great resource in this community. But there needs to be accountability. There needs to be transparency. I tried to reach out to Nick. He responded once. I responded back, wanted to ask him questions and create dialogue. He never got back to me. There needs to be a conversation because this is the thing. I'm not here to blackball Nick or Key Collector, but here's the thing. This is going to come biting back them in the ass. It's going to bite him in the ass. People are catching on to these inconsistencies. And look, you ask yourself, why, you know, is he just saying, this is what I believe and I'm going to do whatever I want? And hey, he could do whatever he wants. He could say that, you know, Uncanny 14 annual is Gambit's 25th millionth appearance, but does it make it right? It's that great power comes great responsibility, guys. Ironically, I know it's a comic book slogan, but Nick and Key Collector has great power. They have great power over people because they influence this hobby. And if you are influencing this hobby and you're not understanding that power and not being responsible with that power, then that is negligence. It's negligence. So my humble way of addressing this to Nick, or to anyone that knows Nick, is to say, Nick, you need to talk to the people. You need to give us transparency. He doesn't need to talk to me. Who am I? I'm nobody to him, I'm sure. But the conversation needs to be had. Talk to Comic Tom. Go on Comic Tom's show. That's your guy. Talk about these things. Why are you doing this? Why? At least explain why. Why are you going against industry standard? Every other industry facility that's facilitating and dictating the labels recognizes 14 is a cameo and 266 is first full. From the grading companies to Go Collect to Cover Price to Comic Book Realm. And here's the thing, and I saw some comments. Remember, I don't know why people do this. Calling a first appearance cameo doesn't mean that it's not their first appearance still. We all know that Hulk 180 is the first appearance of Wolverine. There's no arguing that. Hulk 180 is the first appearance of Wolverine. I'm going to sit here with that. Let's sit here with that for a minute. Hulk 180 is the first appearance of Wolverine. But guess what? Hulk 181 is still the first full appearance of Wolverine. Because context matters. Hey guys, 298 is technically the first appearance of Venom, period. Let's sit with that for a minute. 298 is the first appearance of Venom, period. 299 is the second appearance of Venom. And ASM 300 is the third appearance of Venom. But you know what else ASM 300 is? The first full appearance of Venom. You see what I'm saying? Context matters. So we're not denying. Yes, guys. Annual 14 came out before 266. It's the first appearance of Gambit. It's the first appearance of Gambit. Let's sit here with that. It's the first appearance of Gambit. But ASM 290, or excuse me, Uncanny 266 is still the first full appearance of Gambit. It's his second overall appearance, but his first full appearance. Hulk 181 is the second appearance of Wolverine, but it's his first full appearance. Context matters, and Key Collector has it wrong. All right, so guys, let me look at your guys' comments. I had to get all that out. Let's look at what we guys are talking about. JJ, just collect what you like. I agree with that. I don't know what was said above that, but I just saw that and I agree. Yes. Overstreet agrees with the 266. And you guys got to remember, you know, Overstreet, you can't always go to Overstreet wanting to find context because they're not meant to supply full context all the time. They shorten their letters. They shorten their letters for each listing. So they don't need, just because they don't state something as one thing doesn't mean it isn't. Does that make sense? Just because they don't say that this book is the first full appearance doesn't mean it's not. It's just they didn't feel the need to write it in there. You know, in the modern day and age where we have apps and databases on the internet, it's easier for us to catalog all the context and all the details. Tony asks, I would be curious to know what the comic writers think of what they think is a cameo or what they think is a full appearance. Tony, I agree. And, you know, I guarantee you a lot of them probably don't care. They're like, I'll leave that up to the collectors. I think I've heard some of them say that before. But it doesn't negate the fact that the industry has used these terms since the 70s. Swaggle what's going on, man? Newbie. Books and keys. Thanks, man. All right. Let's see. Fable says, the full and full appearance needs to be more defined. Okay, Fable, here's the thing. When you say more defined, I'm going to assume you mean there needs to be concrete etched in stone standard, and I agree. And I said that in my video as well that I'm uploading tomorrow. I really believe there needs to be, and I think Tony and I talked about this maybe. I know I've had this conversation with a couple people, but if there was some kind of like Comic Code Authority where we're like a panel, you know, where you get, you know, hey, get people like, get Nick from Key Collector, get somebody from Go Collect, get somebody from Cover Price, get somebody from Overstreet, get somebody from CGC, maybe some writers or some artists or some people that work for Marvel or DC, and create a board, create a third-party board that creates the standard and documents it, just like the Founding Fathers documented the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights and how they amend amendments of our Constitution. Absolutely think that needs to happen. But even though we don't have that, even though we don't have this etched in stone verbatim period, this is how it is, we have enough standard and enough precedent to where it's not that hard to define these terms. And that's what I'm going to stick by. Okay, JJ says, I think that the annual was the first appearance. It is, though. See, JJ, that's what I'm trying to say here. The annual is his first appearance. And 266 is technically his second appearance. But add the context to it. Annual 14 is his first overall appearance, period. But it's in Cameo. 266 is Gambit's second appearance, but it's also his first full appearance. By industry, definition, and precedent. I'm not making this stuff up. I'm not. Listen, I don't agree. I wish the word cameo was never used. I've talked about this before. I'm not a fan of the term cameo, but it's there. And I've done my due diligence to research and to understand precedent and standard. And even though I dislike it, or I want to believe something different, it doesn't mean that I could change precedent and standard. So that's what I'm saying about Nick with Key Collector. He can believe what he wants to believe, all he wants. But is a database for factual information? He's wrong. And it's not right. It is not justified for him to come and use his platform to create his own narrative of what he believes when he's wrong. Okay, Dan says, who would be the authority in making those parameters? Nobody. The authority is already made in two things. In one, the English language. The authority is made in the English language in what these terms mean. All right. The second authority is precedent. You look at the Constitution and as example, they call it a breathing and living document, right? So there's room for ambiguity, but at the same time, we look at precedent, what came before. When you're sitting on the Supreme Court, and this is how I would give this example. People like Go Collect and CGC and Key Collector, they're Supreme Court justices sitting on a panel, right? And to me, Nick is a Supreme Court justice voting on something because of a personal belief instead of precedent. And what does that infringe on? If something like that happens at the Supreme Court level, it infringes on our constitutional rights. You can't do that. That's why the rule of law is written as precedent. So that's, Dan, I hope that answers your question. There's the English language, that how we define these terms and how they've been defined for hundreds of years. And then there's precedent of 50 plus years of the comic book hobby. Now, who creates precedent to begin with? It's more of like a seed that is sowed. It is a seed that is sowed in the soil and watered and nurtured and grows. So if you plant a seed and you name it a daisy or you name it a rose, you don't just say, no, that ain't a rose, that's a tulip. And the point I'm trying to make is those that came before us planted the seeds of how we define and look at these terms in comic books when it comes to these situations of first appearances and appearances and how people appear in comic books. They watered that soil, and what they fed the seed grew. And it's up to us to look at that precedent and recognize it. And that's where we should be at right now. Now, I want to say too that it doesn't mean, look, these terms have evolved, but they've always been there. All right. And this is what I had to learn through my research. I really feel that the Gambit controversy in the 90s happened at a time where you then had the internet get created, and then a few years later you had CGC come about. And I really feel that at that point in time, people had to go look back and set up precedent and say, well, you know what? We can't just call a first appearance without any more context. People want to know that if this first appearance only has my character in a couple of panels, or it has the character throughout the whole entirety of the book, we want to know the difference. We want something that defines those differences, because we value the first time we see them in full on every page of a book or on just a couple pages. We value those things differently. So that's why we went back and said, let's look at where Cameo was being used, because Cameo was being used as early as the early 70s. And then they started implementing them a lot more. I think when you were in the 80s and the early 90s and Overstreet got big, and then you had Wizard, and then you had the superhero cards, you know, you saw them calling 180 the first appearance of Wolverine, or 299 the first appearance of Venom, without any more context. But that doesn't mean that it wasn't still a cameo. It doesn't mean that the next issue wasn't still a first full. They just weren't documenting context. But now they are, because it matters so much more to the collector to say, I'm going to value more a comic book where we see the character for the first time throughout the book, rather than just the first time we see them on one page. So JJ says, make your own decisions. See through all the made up terminology. So what's made up, JJ, though? And again, I'm not coming at you. I respect you. And again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. We're having a discussion, and we're not probably all going to agree, but what's made up? These words coming out of my mouth, they're made up. Who made these words? Who made the alphabet? At one point in time, we were cavemen that, we grunted. And like, right, we didn't talk before. We created language. So when you say made up terminology, who's making this up? First off, the words were made up and are recognized within the English language hundreds of years ago. The terminology as used in the hobby was made up at some point, but that was my metaphor. You plant the seeds. When you make something up, you plant the seeds, and then you water them, and it becomes precedent. So just saying that it's made up doesn't mean it's not valid. Something has to be made up somewhere at some point, but then it catches on, and we define them, and we recognize them for what they are. Why is this black? I could say this jacket's black, and then you could say, don't just call it what you want. Don't get caught up in made up terminology. I'm gonna call it Luga. That's not black, that's Luga. I just made that word up, Luga. So does that mean because I made that word up and call it Luga that it's not black to you or me or to everyone else, right? So I hope that makes sense. All right, guys, we got to wrap up here soon because I got to get ready for the Comic Book Cannon show, but I want to get to a few more of you guys' comments and questions. Stefan, Hulk 180 is not gaining ground on 180. I'm not saying you're wrong. Hulk 180 is gaining ground. You're absolutely right. And I agree with you that, but it's not, I don't think it's because of what you're thinking. First off, it's not gaining steam on 181. That's not what's happening. Okay. What's happening is 181's steam is still doing this and it's getting unreachable, and more people are valuing the cameo appearances more because the big books are out of their reach. So it's not that 180 is gaining steam on 181. It's just that why 181 is doing this and 180 has been sitting like this. Now 180, or excuse me, while 181 has been doing this and 180 has been stagnating, now they're both doing this. But 180 will never catch up to 181. That's on my word. That's on my life. 180 will never catch up to 181. Ever. Just like 299 of Venom will never catch up to 300. Exactly, Brick Hunter, you just said it. Only reason why 180 is gaining steam is because 181 is priced as high. I wouldn't say it's the only reason, but it's the main reason. It's the main reason. Absolutely. Yeah, Myth Lab. You bring up, Swagahos was talking about this in his video, and that's, yep, that should, 186 of Avengers should definitely be a cameo. 187.1 should definitely be the full. Absolutely. JJ says, I would rather buy the true first appearance for cheap. Look, JJ, that's a personal preference, and you're looking at that more from a budget standpoint. And hey, look, I'm with you. I'd rather get the first full appearance for cheap, right? But you know, that's all of our dreams and wishes. But that's more of a budgeting. And I agree. That's why last year I attained 180, Hulk 180, and not 181 because I can't get 181. So I go for the second best thing, the first cameo, right? In my opinion. So. Let's see. Dan says, here's a thought. Should the author be the one who determines where there is first appearance? Marvel came up with the Marvel universe, which profiled every character in the first appearance. Dan, I've said this before, and I agree with you. I absolutely believe that the publishers should facilitate what their character is. But the reason why that's problematic, there's two reasons why that's problematic. One is because they control you. An author can say this is the first full appearance of this character just to sell their books. That's happened before. That controversy has actually happened recently. Secondly, if they do something like that, the other issue is that they could go against industry precedent. So it needs to be a third party, ultimately. We need to recognize these terms as a whole, where nobody has special interests. That's why I said you create a board. You create a board with industry leaders, with content creators, with publishers, with writers, with influencers, with editors, with app creators, database creators like Nick with Key Collector, and so forth. But my issue is this right now. Chris, I appreciate your words. I just saw your comment. Well, see, in that here, okay, Chris, you said, what's the first true appearance? Cameo or full? Well, what do you mean by true? The first time they show up, then that's a cameo. Look, the first cameo appearance is the first time that they show up. And that's the thing. I don't know why so many people don't understand that. So many people say, when they say, well, Hulk 181's Wolverine's first full appearance, they're like, no, we saw him first in Hulk 180, so that's his first appearance. I know that. We're not saying it's not, but it's in Cameo. So yeah, the true, if you're saying true, meaning the first time we ever seen them, There's no argument. What do you think? He's just, we're imagining him. You think we're just imagining Hulk 180 on the back page? We're imagining Wolverine on the back page of Hulk 180? We're not imagining. He's there. He's appeared. Boom. That's his first appearance in Cameo. Hulk 181 is his second appearance, but first full appearance. You know that, right? A book can be somebody's first full appearance and be their second appearance as well. Do people understand that? I hope people understand that. Here's my thing. Crap. I think I cut out there for a second, guys. All right, we're going to wrap up here, guys. I'm going to end it on this note. Swagglehouse, you just asked a great question. I'm trying to dip out of here. Man, no, I will say this. A cameo does not need to occur at the end of the book. Absolutely not. Hulk 182 is a Wolverine cameo, and he's in the front of the book for one panel, and then he disappears. Is there a panel count? There can be a panel count, but I also think it has to do with what the character's doing in those panels. And that's why people get confused with Annual 14. Gambit is in a lot of panels, but he's not really even in them. He's in the background, not doing anything. It's a cameo. So, Comics with Bueller, thanks for hanging out today. Comics with Bueller says, simple solution, just have both. If you're talking about having them in your collection, that satisfies things, absolutely. But here's my thing. My ultimate here, look, here, there's two pieces I want to say, guys. Labels of books shouldn't change how you value them. And I don't monitor you. I mean what they mean to you. Look, if you care more about Hulk 180 because that's the first time we ever see Wolverine, I can't change your mind on that. And I want you to enjoy your books the way you want to enjoy them. So labels shouldn't change the way that you enjoy or value your books. Okay. If you enjoy Cameo, what are coined cameo appearances more than full appearances, because you're saying, well, maybe a full appearance, but it's the second time we see them. That's good. That's great. But what I want you all to understand is that personal opinion cannot trump industry standard and precedent. Okay? It's like, and I don't mean to bring up a controversial topic, but I could sit here and say, I can't stand abortion. Abortion's wrong. It doesn't mean that abortion's illegal. It's still legal, right? Or I could say, you know, that something is, or something should be, or you know, I think that drugs should be shouldn't be criminalized. They're still criminalized. So what I'm saying is you can have your opinion, but you can't allow your opinion to trump precedent and standard that's based on an industry fact. And my closing words for Key Collector and for anyone out there, I've called out Go Collect too, but they've been humble and they corrected themselves. Nick needs to come out and have a conversation. Nick needs to come out and have a conversation with the community. Because, and I'm doing this for Nick's sake. I'm doing this for Key Collector's sake. Because if so many people start looking at Key Collect, and I talked about this before, if a young new collector goes into a comic book store and says, you know, I was hearing about this first appearance of Gambit. I saw him in this animated cartoon. I really love him. Somebody said his first appearance was in an X-Men book where he's on the cover and it's green and he's with Storm. Nope, that's not the first appearance. That's his second appearance. You want this book. And they show him Annual 14 and say, this is his first full appearance. And then that kid is so excited and he goes back home and tells his friends. And he sends it to CGC only for it to come out saying Cameo. Or then he starts seeing everyone else calling 266 the first full and he's like, Duke. And he's like, what? My LCS owner lied to me. The inconsistency and the misinformation of the Key Collector app, although a lot of fans and subscribers may cling to it and agree with everything they say, there's a lot out there that are getting tired of it. And they don't know what to believe anymore. And it's going to bite them in the ass. So I'm not even sitting here telling Key Collector to change it to everything that I'm telling you to change it to. I'm not even going that far. But what I am saying is Nick needs to come out and address the community. Go on Comic Tom's show, just like Comic Tom had Comic Guru on. When Comic Guru sat there on Tom's show saying, I disagree with Key Comic Collector app. And they're all buddies. Nick needs to come out and he doesn't need to have a conversation with me. I'm nobody. He can have a conversation with Bueller. You know, Bueller has way more influence than me. And there's anybody that's out there, Gem Mint, all these people, anybody. He doesn't even need to talk to another person. He could go on his own YouTube. He can go on his website and do a blog blast. We need to understand why Nick refuses to acknowledge precedent and why he continues to go against the grain and state things according to his own personal opinion, period. That's it. That's the start. And I think he needs to be humble. He needs to be humble. Meaning, he needs to listen. He doesn't have to agree with me. He doesn't have to agree with you. He doesn't have to agree with anybody, but he has to listen before he speaks. And I don't think that he didn't do that with me. I felt like he closed me off. He responded once, giving me excuses. And then when I brought up the Mary Jane issue and why he was calling the Mary Jane 42 a full appearance when he's not calling, which is a cameo, but it's the same situation as ASM 299 and Hulk 180, and he's calling them cameos, and it's inconsistent. And then he went on his Instagram and tried to like gaslight the situation and pull his viewers that are gonna, cling to everything that he says. There needs to be transparency. There needs to be humility. And he needs to address it to the public. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. I appreciate you all for being here today. I'm really late to meeting up with my co-host, Jeff, for Comic Book Canon. We're 40 minutes away. I'm going to be punished. But this was a real important topic to me. And, I could have got a lot more out, but, I appreciate all you guys joining and leaving me your thoughts and your comments. Leave some comments below as well, guys, and I can catch it on the rewind. 40 minutes away, guys. Comic Book Canon. It's going to be a great show tonight. I hope to see you all over there. If you aren't subscribed to us at Comic Book Canon yet, that link is below. And again, check out A1 Comics after the Comic Book Canon show, as they are doing their live Instagram sales. So again, thank you all. Michael Carter, JJ, Comic Book Canon's in the house. Jeff's like waiting for me. He's like, yo, Chris, get on over here. We got a show to do. Stefan, standards can change, but the way that he's doing it is not how you do it. That's not how you do it. It's not. It's not. But that's a whole nother conversation. Fable, Swaggle House, I appreciate all you guys being here. Tony, thank you for showing up. I hope all you guys have a really great New Year's. Be safe. And again, catch us. Comic Book Canon. Link below. We are 38 minutes away. All right, guys.